Hi, everyone. I'm Joel Benenson, and welcome to the BSG Telescope, insights from the world of politics, media, and social issues generally. I want to talk to you about something today that I think gets overlooked a lot when we talk about presidential campaigns, and I've worked on 4 of them. And I often say to people, and they're surprised when I say this, that we're really a pretty 50-50 country. Now, I'm exaggerating a little bit. But what I mean by that is that we have pretty close elections. We don't have a lot of blowouts. We don't have a lot of landslides. In fact, I was a pollster for President Barack Obama in both his campaigns. President Obama was only the 7th U.S. president in history to be elected and reelected with more than 50% of the vote. So while incumbents go in with a huge advantage, we don't have big blowouts, big landslide elections, particularly for president and particularly in reelects. But when I say 50-50, I'm exaggerating just a bit. I'm trying to make the point that we're really pretty evenly divided. And I think this campaign proved it out. And I think a lot of people are scratching their heads on both sides saying, how could this be so close? How could President Trump come so close? How did Joe Biden just squeak by here? But the truth is, we really are ideologically, politically, socially, a 40-40 country with about 20% in the middle. And usually the candidate who wins the middle is the candidate who wins the presidency. And if you look back to 2016, when Donald Trump won the election, and compare it to this one when he lost the election, we see a big difference in how Joe Biden performed in the middle, what I call the middle, independent voters, moderate voters, 2 groups where there's some overlap, but it's not an identical DNA footprint. But he way outperformed Hillary Clinton. He was speaking to middle-of-the-road voters in a way that some people in the Democratic Party said wasn't liberal enough. But that's who Joe Biden is. That's who he was. And at the end of the day, if you look at the middle and you say, okay, who won independent voters or how did they perform? Joe Biden won 54% of the vote among people who describe themselves as independent voters, according to the exit polls. That's 12 points more than the 42% who chose Hillary Clinton 4 years ago. And when you look at moderate voters, very clear ideological center in this country, and there are a significant number of voters who consider themselves moderate, Joe Biden won those voters with 64%. Hillary Clinton won those voters, but she eked it out with 52%. So among both those center groups, Joe Biden outperformed Hillary Clinton by 12 points. That is more than the margin of difference here in his national popular vote win over President Trump. And certainly in many of the battleground states, those numbers are reflected as well. So when you gear up again 3.5 or 4 years from now and think about the next presidential election, remember, we don't have a lot of landslides when it comes to running for president. We are pretty evenly divided for country. And that's why those battleground states and the nature of the Electoral College is so important. So don't expect a blowout. Don't scratch your head saying, how can people vote for this other person? We are a pretty divided country when it comes to our political makeup. So hopefully that sheds a little bit of light on this election, which was another very close election. But Joe Biden winning in some states Democrats hadn't won in before, like Georgia, like Arizona. But those were very close states that really took longer than we've seen in many years for the final results to be tallied. So hopefully that gives you a little different insight into what transpired here in 2020. And again, I'm Joel Benenson. Thank you for watching. This is the BSG Telescope.